When Game Theory released their video saying Tiger Rock was part Elizabeth/Baby and part Charlie/Nightmare, I was a bit skeptical, but at the same time I didn't see any other option. The vast majority of people seem to agree that both Elizabeth and Charlie are around somewhere, but with all the plushies and environmental storytelling and such. People immediately connected Baby to Tiger Rock because of the whole face clock thing, and people connected the puppet to Tiger Rock because of the green eye. I always thought that was really silly, for reasons I'll get into later, but I had no other choice but to agree for the time being, because both of these characters had to be around in some way, and it would make narrative sense for these two to get stuck together seeing how much they parallel each other. But this room, with these vanishing plush babies, it was always so weird to me. Some people say it's Cassie's AR hallucinations bleeding into her perception of reality, which is possible, but I want to take a look at what Steel Wool is trying to tell us with this room instead of what's actually going on in here from an in-game perspective. These plush babies are not normal. Well, I mean, obviously they're not normal, they giggle and disappear, but I mean they don't look normal. Half of them are OG plush babies, which is to say, not Scrap Baby. These babies have blue eyes. The other half of the plushies are plush Scrap Babies. They have green eyes. If you haven't already noticed, all of these babies have one eye torn out. Which is interesting, because it's not the only time we see in Ruin where a plushie of a character represents how they've suffered or changed. This room seems to confirm, at least to me, what multiple FNaF theories like mine have been saying for a while now, that Sister Location's Baby and Pizza Sim's Scrap Baby are not one and the same. The obvious disconnect between Circus Baby's manipulative, deceptive, and calculating nature, with her own desires and goals separate from her maker, and the completely different character we see in Pizzeria Simulator isn't wishy-washy, inconsistent writing. It's intentional. In that game, we have Scrap Baby, who doesn't manipulate or lie or strategize at all. She has the same voice and a similar design as Circus Baby, but now she wants to do nothing but please William, ignoring her previous drive to pretend to be human. She talks like she is Elizabeth, even going so far as to call Afton Daddy, which seems so strange for the baby we see in Sister Location to say, but it is something we hear Elizabeth say before Circus Baby kills her. Speaking of, do you remember how we figured out Baby was possessed in the first place? It was her eyes. Originally they were blue. After killing Elizabeth, they adopted her green color. Considering the character disconnect between Circus Baby and Scrap Baby, the plush baby room with the different eyes torn out, and the way we as a community figured out how Elizabeth came to possess or kill her in the first place, the only thing that makes sense to me is that Tiger Rock isn't a fight between Elizabeth and Charlie or Baby and the puppet, it's a fight between Elizabeth and Circus Baby. You might be asking, why would it be a fight? If it was Charlie and Elizabeth dueling, it would make sense because they have opposite ideals and goals. How do I know Elizabeth and Baby are fighting? Well, there are a few reasons actually. One, and this is pretty obvious, but Circus Baby literally killed Elizabeth. It seems to me that this chip that we removed from Baby in Sister Location has a lot to do with why she and Elizabeth are separated by the time of Pizzeria Simulator. If they reunited, why wouldn't Elizabeth dislike Baby? Secondly, we have to understand that Elizabeth, this tiny little girl, probably isn't evil. Let's refresh on her story. Elizabeth Afton is the seemingly youngest child of a successful businessman who also creates fun animatronic attractions for kids just like her. Her father warns her not to get too close to a specific one named Circus Baby that she believes was made just for her. Elizabeth disobeys her father eventually and gets mauled by this gleaming shiny toy. We know that the character we talk to in Sister Location is Baby, not Elizabeth, as Baby makes it clear that they're not one and the same. Quote, I still hear her sometimes. Elizabeth is probably somewhat aware once she possesses Circus Baby, able to speak to her killer while still seemingly not able to control her person's practically sentient programming. Seems to me that Baby has us remove her consciousness from her endoskeleton and leaves Elizabeth in the suit that becomes a part of Ennard. Ennard eventually ejects the parts of Circus Baby's old shell, which searches for new metal to add to its body and becomes Scrap Baby. Scrap Baby seems influenced by Elizabeth quite a lot, talking just like her and nothing like Circus Baby. But Scrap Baby also seems like it's not just Elizabeth's soul piloting a pile of rusty metal. It says that doing what it's created to do, hunt and kill children, is the only way it can feel complete. To me, that reads less like Elizabeth being in full control, and more like her remnant is minorly influencing a robot whose base directive is still to kill children, now that Circus Baby's sentient intelligence was removed from the equation. Scrap Baby is burned, and then, well, we don't know. We know that the blob/the tangle is almost certainly Molten Freddy's agony merged into a big bad mass of wires and metal. Most people seem to believe Burntrap and the Mimic are different, so that would account for William, at least until Ruin. I assume the blob dismantled him? But that's a different topic for a different video. There's a lot of different takes on where Michael is. Some say he burned, some say he survived, and some say he's possessing Landmark Freddy. Either way though, I think most people agree he's not in the basement. Charlie's gone, and if you see my last video, you know I think she and Cassie are directly connected, but that's another whole different theory. Point is, Baby's not accounted for. Her mask is completely unlit, which one could normally assume means Elizabeth moved on, but considering what we've discussed so far about Tiger Rock, that seems unlikely. We don't know how she leaves the basement and ends up as a part of Tiger Rock, but I do firmly believe that's what happened. So with that whole story in mind, to me it doesn't seem likely that Elizabeth is evil and cruel the way Baby is evil and cruel. The third reason why I think Baby and Elizabeth are dueling for control has to do with what we see in Ruin and in the books. In the books, Tiger Rock is a bit flippy-floppy when it comes to whether or not it likes brutally ripping off people's arms. It randomly goes from being gentle and passive to all murdery and aggressive. One could say this is just Baby, as this would line up with their "I'm very good at pretending" gimmick, but to me it feels like it's written to be a jarring switch-up as in Who's in the Driver's Seat, not a frighteningly smart AI luring people in only to kill them for its own purposes. In Ruin, we see a lot of very weird things that happen. Some inexplainable events take place, some of which directly help and direct Cassie towards releasing the Mimic, and some of which try to stop her. We see arrows pointing her to the right places, and somehow Roxy inexplicably gets trapped under a forklift so Cassie can impale her. Cassie gets attacked by multiple things attempting to take her life that seem completely separate from mixes in the glamoric animatronics, like this ATM machine that tries to plow through her, this elevator that tries to crush her, this randomly deactivated go-kart that tries to run her over, and this giant cupcake that tries to push Cassie into the bakery area with Chica. Could this have to do with Nightmare Yon/Charlie instead of Tiger Rock? Yeah, possibly. Were the arrows drawn by the same person that did Vanny Graffiti and these doodles? Maybe. Was the elevator just foreshadowing for the ending and nothing more? Potentially. All of these things on their own could be hand-waved away with one-off excuses, but all of these things happening seems so intentional to me. To me, it seems Circus Baby is doing everything she can to bring Cassie to the Mimic, and Elizabeth is trying to stop her. Now, I'm not dead set on this part of the theory, as I still think it's very possible, and maybe even more likely that Nightmare Yon/Charlie has more to do with these weird occurrences than Elizabeth, but I still want to call it out as a potential explanation. Hope you enjoyed this theory. Please comment below if you enjoyed the video, or if you want to point something out that I missed, or even if you have any theories of your own. Credit to Blaze KP6DD for commenting about the giant cupcake being more evidence for a forest trying to stop Cassie from reaching her goal. I read all the comments on all my videos, so don't be afraid to mention your own theories and thoughts and stuff. Consider subscribing if you're interested to see more content from me. As I do polls, you can vote in a lot of the time to decide my next video and to see where the community stands on controversial topics. Bye!